Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome and thank you for joining our webinar today. People are still joining, but we're going to make a start. My name is James Holden Story. I am the Regional Sales Manager for Campus M, and I'm joined today very kindly by Matthew Sherlock, who is our Director of Product Strategy at Campus M, and also as well Jenny Wood, who joins us, who is one of our Campus M customers currently in South Africa from the University of Cape Town. Jenny will introduce herself later on in the webinar, but works as a manager within the ICTS team at the University of Cape Town. Just to run through some of the things that we're going to be covering off today, we've broken this out into 4 sections. Obviously, the first part is just really to give you an introduction to Campus M, who we are, what we do, and obviously who we're working with. One of the key drivers for this webinar is that I have recently taken on a new role that will involve me providing dedicated resource to South Africa to obviously better support our existing customers such as Jenny in Cape Town, but also look obviously moving forward to engage during some quite challenging times at the moment with the rise of the importance of digital and how that can help engage with your students to be able to hopefully engage with some prospective institutions as well and learn more about some of your challenges and how we can possibly help. Then we'll run into the section by Matthew Sherlock, and he will talk through sort of 3 key areas, I suppose, of the student life cycle with some concrete customer examples. He'll take a look first at recruitment and conversion, then run into student engagement and the work and how Campus M can help really to better engage your existing student community. And then finally, he'll talk a little bit about how it can work with your alumni community as well. And then penultimately, we will pass the reins over to Jenny. As I said, she will be providing some insight in terms of the work they've done previously with Campus M and some of their plans as well, and some of the benefits and value that provides to them in terms of using Campus M at the University of Cape Town. We will then round up with questions and answers, and then I will leave you some details for those that want to perhaps continue the dialogue offline. I will provide some details as well for you to be able to get in contact. Just to make everybody aware, I should have mentioned this at the beginning, we are recording the session, and obviously we will be able to provide that to people afterwards in a follow-up email, so that you can obviously review it and potentially circulate to other colleagues that potentially may be interested and weren't able to attend today. So I just wanted to set the scene, I think, initially. I'm sure some of you may or may not be aware of Ex Libris currently. Ex Libris basically works with around 7,500 institutions. We've already got quite a prominent customer base in South Africa, in the sense that institutions are using sort of one of the 3 streams, I suppose, in terms of our library solutions. We also as well support sort of 2 other strands. One is very much around research, and we have solutions that can support that. And then a strand that looks at sort of teaching and learning and I suppose the overall student experience. And that's where Campus M sits. We've currently got around 100 customers across the globe. Some of those that sit obviously within the UK and Ireland. We have some that sit in North America, and then some other European countries, as well as a good penetration in the APAC region as well. Just to give you, I suppose, some insight, as I said, in terms of our customer base, we work with a lot of very large institutions, but also as well some quite small specialist institutions. And I think that really demonstrates, I suppose, the flexibility of the platform in terms of how Campus M can help, I suppose, with some of the strategic challenges that we will be talking about today. I'm sure some of these brands and logos people are familiar with. And as I said, at the moment, we're currently working with Cape Town within South Africa, but are looking obviously to extend our partnerships within that region. So just to give you, I suppose, a quick sort of high-level overview before I pass over to Matt in terms of what Campus M is. And I'm not going to run through every point here, but Campus M basically is a tool that is there to make your stakeholders or students' lives easier. It very much provides a one-stop shop to students, whether they be prospective students, whether those are current or even alumni, or even staff potentially, providing a very consolidated and contextualized experience for them so that they can access, key information, key services, key systems, whether they're on or off campus. Obviously, with the current situation, a lot of institutions are delivering a very much a blended mode of delivery. So really, it can be applicable, as I said, regardless of whether students are on or off campus. One of the things that we're very much focusing on today is really talking about how it sits across that whole student life cycle. And again, I think this alludes back to the flexibility of the platform. From the very first touch point, I suppose, that prospective students have with your institution, you're very quickly able to engage with them in a platform that they use, I'm sure, in many other areas of their lives, and really make sure that, I suppose, you keep them, keep those touch points, give them the personalized information they need to hopefully enable them to turn into students. And then obviously that takes them through their time with you as students, and Matt will cover off a number of other points in terms of where that can add value. Out the other side, obviously, in terms of them becoming alumni, allowing them to maintain, a relationship with you. And also, as we've said there, potentially looking at how it can support both visitors to the institution as well. So really a very smooth transition, from when they become prospective students. It's a tool that they will already be familiar with, and there will be a certain level of expectancy that when they arrive at the institution, that is something that, that they can still use in their day-to-day student lives. One of the things we really talk about, this can be very much seen as an operational tool, a tool to help you better engage with your students. But one of the things we see and we're trying to, I suppose, understand is how it can also align to your strategic goals and missions, whatever they may be. Obviously, with the current circumstances, they may have changed somewhat. And I think certainly from our perspective, it's understanding how a tool like Campus M can support some of these different initiatives, whether it's focusing on recruiting students, attracting students, and even converting students, as I said. But obviously as well, once students arrive at your institutions, it's very much understanding how you can engage with them and ensure you can really, I suppose, reach those students potentially that are disengaging, so that it doesn't get to the point where students are leaving. You can use the technology to be able to provide very early interventions, and allow them to access the key information and services that are going to help them during those difficult times. And just finally, before I pass the reins over to Matt Sherlock, this will give you some insight, I suppose, in terms of what we're trying to do here with Campus M. Yes, there's a very big focus on obviously the academic aspects, but it's also about incorporating, I suppose, the daily sort of social elements of a student's life as well, which are arguably not as important, but also an important element of their experience with you when they're at your institution. So you can see here the types of systems, the type of information, the types of services that we know students are going to digest, which we know are going to be important to them. Ranging obviously at the moment, the LMS is an incredibly important and centralized system in terms of delivering teaching and learning. But there are obviously other things such as email, potentially such as maps, as students become, start transitioning back to campus, to ensure that they understand obviously where they need to go and any additional things that are going to be relevant to them. So I'm hoping that's sort of given you a little bit of I suppose, flavor of what it is that Campus M can do, and some background to us as a company. Obviously, very much looking forward to hopefully at a later stage engaging with some of you in more detail to learn more about your institutions. But without further ado, I'm now going to pass the reins across to Matthew Sherlock. And Matthew, take it away.
Wrong arrow. Let me just click the arrow. Got it. I've got it now, guys. Thank you. So thank you, James, for the introduction. I'm Matt Sherlock. I'm Director of Product Strategy within Campus M. It's really my job to make sure that we develop Campus M to meet the needs of our growing customer base, our family, as we think of them going forward. And these are really exciting times for a product person, given the huge transition that higher education has had to go through over the last 3 months, and will continue to go through over the preceding 6 to 12 months as well. But I'm going to focus really on the student life cycle, as this may be your first introduction to Campus M, and talk about how we offer a compelling digital experience through all of those stages, all delivered in one app. So it's one download, one storefront, if you like, for students to download as a prospect, and that would follow them through into an applicant, current student, alumni, and then potentially into a member of research staff, or a support staff, or ongoing education as postgraduate professional qualifications as well. So I'm going to go through a number of examples, talking through what some of our customers have done in these areas and some of the features that allow them to do that. I'm going to start off naturally with the student recruitment and applicant conversion. This is an area I think that's becoming significantly important since COVID. In fact, generally, as higher education has become much more globalized and much more competitive, it's true to say that institutions have taken an increasing amount of effort focused on developing relationships with potential students, showing them the virtues of the institution, the benefits of coming to a particular institution, the facilities they will have access to, the staff they will have access to, the experience they will have when they come to the institution. I think that's really important. When we're looking at the challenges that presents, being able to build that digital relationship, build your brand with a set of potential customers who have little to no experience of what higher education is and what they're likely to experience when they come to the institution is really important. I think increasingly this area is becoming smarter and more intelligent, just in terms of understanding prospective student engagement and targeting those prospects with the information and engagement mechanisms that will bring them in and move them into coming to the institution as a file and institution. What we're doing with increasingly is looking at how we provide the tools, the tool sets that enable you both to encourage attendance and to encourage attraction and to continue into the institution as a full-time student. Let's actually talk through a concrete example, though. I always find it's useful. We're going to talk about what Lancaster have done in this area. They are one of our long-term customers. They've been doing this for a number of years. They use Campus M extensively. In fact, you'll see as we go through this discussion that as a customer, they have taken this idea of a full life cycle experience for their students and staff through to the full cycle. They do use us as a platform as well. We have a development platform that allows them to build their own interactions. They have development resource that allows them to exploit that additional functionality that we offer as part of the Campus M family, and they also get their students heavily involved in that, both in terms of design and even in terms of developing and constructing those kind of experiences. Now, they have matured this over a number of years. This is something that each year they iterate on and they develop and enhance, and it's really come towards a point where they've got a really compelling experience that both attracts students to the institution, and then when the student has nominated the institution as their destination of choice, they also support the student in terms of making that transition from an applicant to a full-time student as well. And the really nice thing is they've been able to measure the impact the app has had in terms of that conversion number, and provided concrete evidence that Campus M and the experience that can be delivered through this platform can make an impact in terms of, bottom line numbers of students turning up and studying. So in terms of some of the experiences they have, they very much focus on, what is it that an applicant needs to do to actually become a full-time student. That includes providing them with a list of activities that they may need to perform before arriving on campus. Particularly, this is challenging for international students, making sure they have their visa requirements and they get on board in terms of registering for the institution. And talking about registration, the institution have also developed an online registration process delivered through the app that enables the student to do the pre-register stage, provide their photo, any supporting evidence of who they are, information about themselves, their needs, accessibility needs, for example, through the app, and delivering it, in a personalised and engaging way with the app experience. They also provide information around, the life stuff. Where I'm going to live, how much is it going to cost? The kind of stuff that, yes, a student is coming to the institution to learn, but they're also coming to live and learn to live, if you like, in an adult environment where they're taking ownership of costs and all the rest of it. So providing those guys with a real insight into the types of accommodation, the cost of accommodation is really important. And Lancaster, for example, include 360-degree tours of the accommodation. So again, preparing the student for what they're likely to have when they arrive, so there are no surprises. It makes that transition that much easier for students. They also provide a comprehensive experience for applicants visiting the institution. Their visit day efforts is significant. So not only do they provide maps with location information, events, and the ability to view available events happening on campus during that particular visit, so they can book into those events. They also provide things like weather information, local transport information. Just makes the life of the student coming onto campus that much easier. And with COVID-19 ongoing at the moment, Lancaster are transitioning this more to a virtual open day, virtual experiences, where actually providing information about what's going on, when reminding students about the available events, or prospective students about available events, becomes increasingly important. They're able to do that through a mobile app, a device of choice for those students. Now, the really nice thing about the Lancaster case study, is available on our Knowledge Centre, is that they were able to measure a significant impact in terms of conversion. Now, 14% conversion may not sound a lot, but actually that effectively is millions of pounds worth of additional revenue, or revenue not lost as students actually arrive to the institution. So the Campus M approach, how have we done this? It's really important to acknowledge some of the tools that we've helped here with. So we pride ourselves on providing this one-stop shop that allows you to provide engaging and contextualized information that your prospects need at the time that they need them. And the nice thing is that we can use app notifications, we can use banners, personalized notifications to really drive that engagement. So once they've downloaded the app, you can then start to deliver intelligent, contextualized engagement and interventions based on their level of engagement, their level of interest, what they're interested in seeing, and also market to them directly with any kind of events that are going on campus. We provide you with insight in terms of what students are looking at, how engaged those perspectives are. We offer a rich range of tools that allow you to deliver useful experiences within the app. So things like weather, transport, accommodation information, maps for the campus itself if they visit, integrations with the CRM, customer record relationship management systems, so you can actually start gathering information from those perspectives all through one app. And the really nice thing is, as you'll see as we tell this story, is that students can seamlessly transition from one stage to the next. So as those prospects move into current, we can elevate their role. They seamlessly transition into the current student profile and have access to all those services that current students would expect without having to access a different app. It's very seamless. It's one app for the whole experience. The next stage in the cycle is, as current student, how do we make sure that the students are both engaged and continue to succeed, and that we don't lose them as quickly as we gained them out the back door, that whole retention process. And here, we understand the challenges that students encounter, and very much we feel that Campus M is about making students' life easier by providing a single, simple to use but powerful tool set that's integrated with key systems and services that students need to use and operate on a day-to-day basis. And this often starts with support for new joiners, delivering a transition experience that makes joining that much easier. We know these are challenging times for students, particularly now when there's the chance of having hybrid mechanisms of teaching and learning. Are they on campus? Are they off campus? The communication here and guidance for students will be key, and providing that in a way that's engaging and sits on a device of choice for the student is really important. And as they progress into current students, they're going to need more access to more systems and run through more workflows to maintain their study. So being able to provide that contextualized experience, to provide access to the services that the student needs at the time they need them is increasingly important. And of course, we want students to stay focused so they go on to succeed. So the ability to be able to measure student engagement and understand that from understanding class attendance or how often, how regularly students are interacting with key services is really important. Being able to establish a pattern of activity can be the difference between identifying whether a student's going to continue and succeed or drop off. And one of the really nice things is, through the Campus M personalized notifications and our roles, and our ability to deliver contextualized experiences based on that information that we have about student engagement levels, we can tailor the experience and we can provide constructive interventions to move the student on and make sure they continue to engage with the services that they need. Our customer example here comes from Miami-Dade in the US. This is a huge community college where they have thousands, tens of thousands of students across lots of different campuses who need to engage with and interact with lots of different systems and processes and information, etc., etc. So there's a bit of a logistical nightmare for students, particularly new students as they arrive on campus, to understand, what do they need to do to get through the day-to-day challenges of being a student. And like many institutions, they have lots of systems, lots of touch points, and they have a student body that struggles to engage and understand what they need to do at the right times. And they have a particular challenge around retention, particularly retention in the early months of a student joining and the challenges around that. So they procure CampusM to deliver a unified experience to their students, really pulling together all those core system touch points into a simple interface that's available for the student to interact with on their device of choice whenever they need to, wherever they are, in an engaging way. You can see some screenshots here of some of the services that they're providing. That comprehensive integrated experience where you're signposting key services to students when they need them is really important to make sure that the student feels settled and that they can focus on what they're there for, which is the study and the life skills that they develop that will see them through to their end. And Miami-Dade's integrated approach meant that students were empowered to do more. They were able to self-serve through their mobile devices, from seeing their class schedule to understanding their grades. They have a clear vision of where they are on that journey, where they're going, what their next steps are, how they're progressing. It really builds a sense of confidence with the student as they go through the journey of being a student. And we can see here again additional services, library, access to their supervisor and ID cards, services that enable the student to access services on campus, facilities on campus, and they're delivered in an interface that delivers news, events information that really gives a sense of community for the institution, so they understand they're part of of a bigger body of students, and there is activity going on campus, and whether that be in physical or virtual activity. Again, something that's going to be really important over the coming 12 months, where students may be a bit more disparate than they've been traditionally. And this has had a significant impact for Miami-Dade. They're seeing huge uptake of the app. They're also, very quickly, by delivering services that students want on device they want to consume it on, it's very quickly become an essential for the institution. It's a tool that all of their students engage with, and as such, the benefits that it provides has really meant that it's become an essential for their student body. And look, we've talked about many of the tools already, with our talking around the prospective student experience. But CampusM is about providing compelling student experiences through a simple and intuitive mobile web app for students, with rich integrations that bring in all of these different services really to the palm of your students' hands. We provide the ability to contextualize the experience for students wherever they are on that learner journey, and encourage them to engage within the broader university community as well, through events and news and social media feeds, etc. We provide lots of tools that enable you to understand student engagement. For example, our easy to use but very powerful attendance tool allows you to capture real-time class attendance and understand student engagement in class very quickly, with minimal expenditure in terms of any kind of capital expense, all using the app and the technology within the app to provide you with confidence in terms of student attendance. We also couple that with our insight analytics, so you can get a holistic view of how students are engaging, what services they're engaging with, when they're engaging with them through the app. And we've got another case study from Exeter University who use that insight data extensively to understand student engagement and to really start to identify students who may be dropping off, who may hit that statistic as being a non-retained student. And I think what we've mentioned before, or I've mentioned before, the roles and the personalized notifications that allow you to then tailor the experience based on student engagement levels, so you can constructively intervene when you feel students are not engaging. And our final step along the journey is looking at how you can engage the students once they've left and gone on and graduated and gone into a career. How do you engage that alumni community? And then, And as with other stages, this is about continuing that digital relationship with the student. So as they become graduates and they go off to across the globe to deliver the next step in their career, it's about touching base with those, ensuring they understand that the institution is still there, showcase the research power, the impact it's having on the local community, and really ensure that you continue to reinforce that digital relationship even as the student has left. And this can again provide you with a marketplace where you can then upsell professional qualifications or research opportunities as part of the institution, and also at the same time deliver that kind of alumni content in a really cost-effective way, in a way that's engaging and that continues to build that brand and advocacy within your alumni body. And again, we'll touch base with Lancaster here. Lancaster, as I said previously, they have a full student journey end-to-end within their app experience. And they put a lot of effort into maintaining that relationship with the institution, to maintain their contact details with the institution as well, and help those students that have left the institution to link up with their peers within the Lancaster University network, alumni network, to network and gain additional contacts across the globe, if you like. And they really do nurture this digital relationship both before they arrive, when they're a current student, and then as an alumni. They also have a staff profile as well that supports their current staff. So they take a very much a digital first, mobile first approach to their student services. And at the risk of repeating much of what I've said, the kind of stuff and the kind of experiences and tool set that is valuable for prospective students is also absolutely legitimate for alumni engagement as well. So our flexibility and the comprehensive nature of the tool set means you can cater for each of these different stages very easily. Our roles, our personalized notifications allows you to contextualize that experience based on the student's step on that journey and give them the services they need at the time that they need it. So that was a very brief overview and some customer examples of the types of experiences that we offer over the life cycle. I think to really contextualize it within the region requires me to hand over to Jenny Wood from University of Cape Town. Jenny's been one of, well, Jenny and the university have been one of our long-term customers, family members, as I've called them before. And I'm sure Jenny will now be able to talk you through the journey that they've been on with Campus M. Over to you, Jenny.
UCT mobile app experience with you. Just a little bit about me before I start. So as James mentioned, I manage the content architecture team in the UCT IT department, and my main role is managing and consulting and providing governance on content services projects and in general. And my team also maintains the UCT's records management system, the faculty handbooks content management system, and last but not least, the UCT mobile app, which is underpinned by Campus M. So today I'm just going to provide you with a high-level overview of the Campus M UCT mobile app journey and give you a sense of our roadmap, some lessons learned and benefits. So I'll carry on. So just to cover the agenda, I'll just look at the beginning, where we started, what the app looked like, some stats around there. Then look at where we are now and where we intend to be in the short-term future, some enhancements we're applying soon. And then look at the future, where we would like to be and what our roadmap is. Then we'll look at some lessons learned, what we've learned along the way, and some benefits that we've experienced until now and some benefits that we plan to experience in the future with our enhancements. Right, so in the beginning, we, in about 2013, we recognized that students were engaging with the university's services more and more using their mobile devices, or at least wanting to as well. And we wanted to provide an app to facilitate this securely and seamlessly through a single interface. And Campus M, as you've heard already, does that. And so towards the end of 2013, we started implementing what we've called the UCT mobile app, and launched it in the beginning of 2014. So if you had downloaded and installed the app on your mobile device or tablet in early 2014, this is pretty much what you would have seen. So what you're looking at is really a tablet and mobile view of what the app looked like then. So you've got the new scrolling banner, which is the big tile, a welcome message from the VC, a little competition that we had as part of the launch, timetables for the students, maps, UCT library integration, course results, our Jammy Shuttle, which is our free bus service, timetable, fee account, career service, and UCT radio. Most of these tiles are really integrations with authoritative systems, so the timetables, course results and fee account were integrations with our student system. The Jammy Shuttle was an integration with a system that provided the timetable data for us. The careers service was integration with our careers hub, which provides tools to support that. The maps is Google Maps, and the library was our library management system, and the Vula tile, which is shown on the mobile view, Vula is our Sakai learning management system. So these were mostly integrations and then some web links, views. So then if I just show you some stats in the beginning. So there was a bit of a launch at the beginning. I wasn't involved at this stage of the journey. What this shows, this Insight Analytics shows, the blue line is really the registration of users. And you can see as we were launching, going into orientation week, we had quite a good number of registrations and active users. So the Insight Analytics is very useful in that it shows, your registrations, who your active users, the number of sessions, and so on. Then if we look in a more granular way, just to look at how these different tiles, the sort of percentages of usage. So timetables at that time were most popular. They still are to a lesser extent. Jammy Shuttle, our bus timetable, the learning management system, Vula, the fee account, and course results, and so on. So this was a useful gauge of how the tiles were used and the popularity and the usefulness of them for the students that were registered. When my team took over towards the end of 2015, we really wanted to start really leveraging what we had. So we planned and did successfully really extend the notifications and alerts, start using that more, try to build on the Labs and Societies tile. We added the lab PC availability tile, extend our Vula services and library services. A thing that we're still working on is creating a student reference group, and that I'll talk about a little bit later in our roadmap. So where are we now? So what have we achieved up until now? After we took over. So from the beginning of 2016 onwards, we really started trying to maintain the app in a more proactive way. So ensuring that our content is up to date, keeping tabs on changes in the communications and marketing space of the university, and then adding some enhancements. So extending our campus maps, sending out more alerts about our Jammy Shuttle bus service changes, adding a Campus M safety tile, adding in student wellness, a booking interface, postgraduate events, case reporting, student card information, and we created a separate role for Open Day. So those were some of the things that we've been up to. Then I thought it might be useful to show our analytics from when we started till now to give you a sense of how the app has grown and in terms of active users. So the red line is the active users, and this looks a little bit like a heartbeat, but it's not. It's you're looking at, and I realize it's quite small, is each year there's a spike at the beginning of the year in the January of each year when new registrations take place on the app, as well as obviously people joining the university. And it's also when we have our main marketing campaign for the app. So we get a whole bunch of registrations. That's the blue line, and then the red line is the active users. So right up until January 2020, which is the last spike, and then it goes down through the usage sort of, stabilizes through the year. And then if we just look at the more granular view of usage, so up until now, Vula overall has been the most popular interface sort of tile. So majority of usage has been with Vula, and then the Jammy Shuttle. the old and the new tiles for that. That's why there are 2 there. Course results is also very popular. Timetables still popular. Fees account and so on. So you can kind of get a sense of, over those years since the beginning, the number of registrations, active users, and so on that we've had. So it really has gained momentum over the years, but we're hoping to take that to a whole nother level as we go forward. This is how the new enhanced look that we're launching soon. We were hoping to have it ready for a live view today, but unfortunately we still got a few little things to iron out. Yeah, so basically it's a more modern look. It's multicolored, different colored tiles, different shaped tiles. So it's just a much more updated look. We've also got in this, as part of the enhancement, we didn't only enhance the look, but we've also added in a UCT library tile, which has good integration with the library management system and allows the students to maintain, and staff to maintain, their library bookings and checkouts and access. And then the Office 365, the email tile we've also added, which integrates nicely with Office 365 and gives you a full service and allows the students to access their student email account directly from within the app. So this is kind of where we are headed in the near future. But then if we look at our future roadmap, so where are we planning we're going to? So one of the things we really want to achieve in 2021 is create different user profiles. So currently we just have 2 profiles, and that we inherited from the start, which was a student staff profile and a guest profile. But we found that we've kind of outgrown that, and we really need to provide a much more customized, targeted approach to our different user groups at the university. And students particular, looking at the full student experience from when they start as prospective students, so that's the 5th role, the prospective student parent role profile, the student profile, which looks at the first year experience as well as through the years of their time at the university. Staff profile, more and more we've got staff services and systems that are mobile friendly, and we'd really like to expose those in a targeted way through the app. Researcher profile, so expose researcher admin tools and services through the app, and then the alumni profile. So keep in touch with our alumni. And really provide targeted tiles and news and updates and things there. And informing all of these profiles, we'd like to set up stakeholder reference groups for each of them. We'd like to also, for each of them, send out targeted notifications and alerts, targeted tiles, and include self-service tools wherever they're available. So really leverage with the tools and services that we have at the university, but enable access through the app. So what have we learned over the years that, certainly since I've been involved in the beginning of 2016, what lessons have I learned over these years, or my team? So one of the things is the importance of creating profiles and customizing the user experience. So we're really going to try and apply that lesson, create those stakeholder groups, because we really want to inform our different profiles so that they really are targeting what these different user groups need. Another thing that's really important is to engage with, we've learned, is to ensure that we engage with our communications and marketing department to make sure that there's a consistent message across all the different channels, communication and marketing channels. So because it's no good having a really great website, but then the UCT mobile app is not consistent with what's on the web, and vice versa in terms of the different audiences. And then the other aspect, and then also the our CMD can also market us more actively and proactively through their various channels. Then the other real important engagement that we need to ensure is with the IT department. Now, one might sort of think, well, you are in the IT department, but there are obviously, I'm reliant on the various system administrators and those involved in the integration of the various different systems that we'd like to expose. So it's really important to have good engagements and ongoing engagements with those groups. And then the need to create governance around the app. So what we found is that there's been a strong push with various areas from across the board for people asking for their own app for different things. And what we found is, and also research has supported this, that it's ideal to have a single user interface and a single, it's all in one place to access your UCT mobile and a single brand, because otherwise different apps can be differently branded and you can really fragment the user experience. So we've created some governance around the app and continue to work on that. And then also to ensure that there's a dedicated administrator. Before we took over, there was a little bit of an ad hoc approach to looking after the app. So there was certainly someone looking after it, but not as targeted ways since we've taken it over. So what do we see as the benefits and current benefits? Well, it's quick mobile-friendly access to student tools, so our learning management system, email, library, computer lab availability and campus maps, quick access to information and news, the bus timetable, news banners and notification and reduced logins. So they can really access the tools they need very quickly and seamlessly. Plan benefits, we'd like with the new roles that we want to create is keep our profile members informed and updated through those customized notifications and tiles, give them this access to the services that they need, increase engagement with profile members and through their reference groups, and then also stay relevant and expose tools and information where it's needed. So we have all these tools, but we really need to expose them through the app so that people can, so that we can really leverage our usage of the app and get people to really take it on board. So that's really it from me. So I hope that was useful for you. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to contact me afterwards. And I'll hand over back to James.
Fantastic. Hope you can all hear me okay. Jenny, thank you very much indeed. Obviously, very excited to see that the journey that you're going on, and I think you hit a couple of key things on the head there, certainly in terms of, if you're going to really leverage the full use of the technology, providing something that is personalized, as you mentioned, but also consolidating everything into that sort of one-stop shop that I mentioned earlier. Just to mention, as Jenny mentioned there, we're more than happy to take any questions that you may have, either for Jenny herself or for Matt. If you want to ask a question, please input those into either the chat section or the Q&A section. And obviously we can address those either now or following the session. So please feel free to obviously input those in. I know a couple of people have raised their hands, so if you do have a question, please do input those now into the chat or into the Q&A, and we can obviously address those. So just whilst we're waiting for people to input their questions, if indeed they do have questions, I just really wanted to wrap things up. Thank you to Matt and to Jenny, and more importantly to yourselves for joining us. I know for many of you, this may well have been a first introduction, I suppose, to Campus M. But just wanted to, as I say, leave this thought with you as a bit of a takeaway. The way I like to see this is, if you imagine how, the majority of students are very much carrying a device that they looked at regularly, some of them every couple of minutes as a primary source of information, how great a tool that would be. And that certainly, I think in today's terms, for the majority of students, if not all, is a smartphone. It's a tool, as Matt mentioned, that students are using in their everyday lives and plays obviously a major part in how they communicate and access information. One could, I think, almost go as far to say that there may even be an expectancy from students that is the technology that they would need as part of their digital experience. And this is a channel that I think you as educators would not want to miss to help you better engage and communicate with your students. So I'm hoping that was useful. I see other people have, bear with me a second, I'm just going to double check. Yeah, I can see. Sorry, so I've got some questions coming through now. So I'm just going to, Matt, can you come off mute? And I'm just going to, I think this is going to go, bear with me 1 second. A lot of things popping up. So there's a question here, Matt, talking a little bit around the integration aspects, tying into the current CRM, for example. Somebody has asked, how long does it take and how does the app handle that? So if I can pass that one to you, Matt, from a technical perspective. Matt, are you there?
Yeah, guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Matt. Perfect. Did you hear the question, or did you want me to repeat it?
No, I've got the question. So in terms of integrations, whether that's with the CRM or student record system, virtual learning environment, anything like that, the first thing we do is to see whether it's a product integration or a vendor that we already support. And if that's the case, there is clear documentation available on our Knowledge Centre, which we can circulate information about post this webinar on the available integration points, prerequisites, the configuration elements of that integration, the features and functions it will deliver. Now, if that service, if we haven't got experience with a particular CRM, or with any particular system, the next thing we'll do is to, identify what is it that the customer wants to expose, what are the services they want to expose, the workflows they want to expose, the data they want to expose. From there, we start to develop our product integrations, and depending on the complexity, they can take weeks to a couple of months. It really does depend on how complex that integration has to be, but that's all part of the product integration piece of the implementation. That's all incorporated into that package.
Thank you, Matt. We've got a couple of other questions here. I think another one from Neil, actually going on from that, Matt. So it's probably best to address that now. So he's asked, how does the content management interface look and what kind of control would an institution have over visuals and other things such as that? So it's probably best to deal with that question because it's in follow-up to the one you just answered.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of app look and feel, the app itself, the tiles, color scheme, etc., are all configurable by yourselves through what we call our app manager, which is our web-based configuration tool. So you can, add logos, add tiles, menu options, the notifications, maps, all that can be managed through this web-based configuration tool, and you've got control over, how it's displayed. In terms of content, we have what I would call is a content creation system. So it's something called Creative Studio, and it's very much a drag and drop content system that allows you to drag on content like maps and video, images, text blocks onto a canvas, That's created in a responsive way. So whether the student's consuming it on a small iPhone through to a large tablet or on a desktop, the content will scale to maximise that the screen real estate. Now that the content creation tool, Creative Studio, there's full documentation. Again, we can provide a link to that information that's open and available for you to consume. I think the idea of our content creation tools, it's simple enough for content owners to actually create the content for themselves. You can create institutional templates, so you can create consistency across look and feel of those template pages. But saying that, it's also quite involved. There are abilities to manage the HTML, embed JavaScript, manage the content style sheets as well. So, you know, it's very simple and easy to get to grips with, but there's a lot of depth in terms of, you know, if you want to go the extra mile, there is the depth there to do that.
Brilliant. Thanks, Matt. We've got quite a few more questions, actually. So I think what we'll do is we'll take a couple of those now. And obviously, we've got the names of the people that have asked them. So in the follow-up information, we can address those. But let me just take a couple more, Matt. So quick question. It says, in case where a student opts to use this as an app, as a desktop Windows application, is it possible? And secondly, is there a way of integration of a performance review system that works already with both our staffs and students? I think you've addressed somewhat the second point, but if you just want to just talk to the first one, I think in reference to the web app, etc.
Yeah, so as part of the CampusM platform, you get a native app for iOS devices, which covers off iPads as well as iPhones, and a native app for Android devices, tablets, and mobile devices as well. And then we have a web portal for everything else. And that web portal can effectively, that can be delivered so that it effectively looks and feels like the mobile interface. We used to call it omni-channel. So you create it once, publish it to many. It works, you know, works well on the desktop as well as it does on a Windows device, accessing it through a browser. Or we've also got the ability to effectively configure the web app as a more traditional browser experience as well. So with left-hand side navigation, full screen experiences and breadcrumbs as well.
Fantastic, Matt. I think we'll take one more question. People are still staying on, so I think that's a good indication that we'll address these. Matt, probably your favourite question, and we get asked it a lot for obvious reasons, around information privacy. You know, to what extent can we, I suppose, secure the safety of the data, and what measures do we have in place? I think it's a very, very appropriate and important question when it comes to student data. So I'll ask that question of you, Matt, and allow you to respond.
Yep. So the CampusM cloud component is housed within the Ex Libris cloud infrastructure. That infrastructure has any number of ISO certifications. We've just been granted FedRAMP classification as well. So in terms of data security, we have an awful lot of information on, you know, the various standards and certificates that apply to our cloud environment. It's a private cloud environment, so, you know, again, there's no danger of, you know, not that I'm sure they would, but the likes of Google and Microsoft and other large corporate entities having access to that data. The nice thing about the Campus M app is that a lot of the data resides pretty much on the client itself. So you know, the integrations actually pull customer, student, end user details directly from the services themselves. So, you know, we don't have to store a lot of personal data within our cloud environment. Stuff like that is retained on the end user's device and come direct from source within the university system portfolio. So in terms of the data that we do hold, it's relatively lean, and you know, there shouldn't be an issue there. We've got an awful lot of information in terms of certification, as I say, the information about penetration testing, our business continuity plans, etc., security policy, privacy policy is all available and openly available on our Trust Centre. Again, that's a link that we can send out to you know, customers post this meeting. And of course, we're GDPR compliant as well. For you know, we apply for that EMEA requirement.
Brilliant. Thanks, Matt. And two last questions. I'll address this one quickly. Somebody's asked about mentoring programs and how do we allow alumni to mentor students. Obviously, we don't provide that functionality out of the gate. You know, we see ourselves, as Matt, I think, has alluded to, more of sort of bringing different systems together and using the app to, I suppose, for students to access that. So what I would say in relation to that is, if there is a platform you're using around mentoring, there's obviously a number of those that I'm familiar with in the UK, but if there is a platform you're using within within the region, then obviously, as Matt said, we can look at potentially how we could link to that, or obviously, you know, potentially look at an integration point. And then one final quick question, Matt. Somebody's asked about, is the app only used for campus? I think they mean campus-based learning, or can it also apply to online learning? So we can just take that one, and then we'll finish up.
The really nice thing is you can cater for either or. Now, we do have institutions that have both, a mixed economy in terms of online learning and on-campus learning. And using roles and or profiles, you can actually deliver relevant services to those different stakeholders, because there's nothing worse than for online learners to get loads of information about stuff that's happening on campus that they can't really participate in. So using app roles or a profile, depending on the size of the group and which one would make the most sense, you can differentiate the information that's going to those end users. Again, we've had experiences where institutions have different service desks that support online versus on campus. So that's entirely feasible as well, both as a separate profile or as one university profile, using roles to then segregate what services and information particular students see.
That's great. Thank you, Matt. I think that's pretty much it now. Thank you for all of your questions. Thank you for your time. I hope you found that useful and insightful. As I mentioned earlier on, we will be sharing a copy of the recording of today, so you can review that and circulate that to colleagues. We'll also incorporate a couple of potentially the case studies that Matt talked to earlier. You know, absolutely more than happy. You know, if you wanted to continue these discussions with with ourselves, I put my contact details down here in the first instance. Certainly, if you've got perhaps any other questions for Jenny as well, please feel free to filter those through myself. And obviously, you know, have a great day, and we look forward to hopefully engaging with you moving forward. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.